Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Should I start, sir?
Yeah. Is it
Good
Arpit,
morning.
right?
Yes, sir. Roll
Okay,
number
okay.
9.
Okay, fine. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Today, our team is going to presenting on gold nanorods and its use in electronic device. Our team consists of Akshit Prasad, Alluru Jaideep Reddy, Ankita Singh, Arpit, myself, Bittuman, and Divya Mansal. Content we will be discussing today are: firstly, I will give you the basic introduction of gold nanorods. After that, Jaideep will discuss about synthesis of gold nanorods. Then Ankita will talk about new synthesis methods, and then Bittu and Divyam will present on application and conclusion part. So, gold nanorods, in short AUNRs, have attracted extensive research interest due to their optical and electronic properties, adjustable aspect ratio, and surface modification in the field of biosensing, bioimaging, and disease diagnosis and detection. So initially, that is not the case. From initially, spherical gold nanoparticle received the most attention due to ease of synthesis and thermodynamically and kinetically favorable morphologies. So a gold nanoparticle is a single structure made from gold atoms and have size around 5 to 10, 5 to 100 nanometers. So at this size regime, gold nanoparticles can be suspended in water or in other solutions. The fascinating effect that their color differs from the typical color of gold. When gold nanocrystal grows in one direction, it forms a gold nanorod with a capsule-like shape, like similar to hot dog. Gold nanorods are anisotropic nanoparticles having rod-like shape with 5 to 10 nanometer in diameter and 10 to 100 nanometer in length, and have more peculiar optical properties than spherical gold nanoparticles due to their localized surface plasmon resonance. So the isotropic structure of gold nanoparticle leads to similar polarization in all directions. This is a schematic diagram for LSPR excitation for it, and this is a solution of gold nanoparticles that shows red pink color. By measuring the light absorption, we can see strong absorption band at 5 around 550 nanometer, while anisotropic structure of gold nanorods leads to different degree of polarization of electrons in all directions as shown in figures. So each gold nanorods have independent electron collective vibration in the diameter and along the long axis direction. Electron along the short axis, this is one upper one, of the rod generally resonate with light in the range of 510 to 530 nanometer, which is called transverse surface plasmon resonance. And the vibration along the axis is the scattering of the incident light by the rod, which varies widely from visible region to near IR region, called longitudinal surface plasmon resonance, and its range between 650 nanometer to 1000 nanometer. Controlling the size of nanorods allow adjusting their optical absorption. Therefore, the longitude LSPR peaks of all gold nanorods with different aspect ratio are shifted by regulating synthesis from the visible light to near infrared region. So, and the oscillator strength of the longitudinal LSPR is larger, which makes the longitudinal surface plasmon resonance play a dominant role in the optical properties of gold nanorods. This optical tone ability makes good nanorods one of the best nanomaterial for application in heat sensing, biosensing, heat blocking filters, dark field imaging, drug delivery, and photothermal cancer therapist, and etc. This part will discuss later in detail by Bittuman and Divyam. Gold nanorods firstly synthesized in mid-90s through an approach based on electrochemical reduction in, into rod-shaped template. It had very less yield. After continuous improvement in synthetic methodologies have increased the yield greater than 90%. So gold nanorods are usually synthesized in the presence of cetyl trimethyl ammonium bromide, which is CTAB, which binds more strongly to the nanorod surface. The detailed synthesis discussed by the Jaideep.
Hello, Orpit.
Yes, sir.
So just the question is, just think about and tell me precisely. Okay. So is it you will get always this transverse, the response for the transverse plasmon resonance in the lower wavelength, or that have a possibility that you can also get it in, higher wavelength?
Sir, we always get transverse plasmon resonance in lower wavelength because it is like short axis oscillation and it is long axis oscillation.
So why this short axis oscillations gives this response in the lower wavelength? Can you discuss little more details? I'll appreciate that.
Okay, because of electron density in the transverse electron oscillation is by in the x-axis, and in the longitudinal electron oscillation it is in the y-axis. So light.
See, Orpit, this is a very simple thing, no? The confinement. If you see
Yeah.
the confinement of electron in two different dimensions is different.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you have to be discuss the things in little more rationally, right? You understood
Yes,
what I'm saying? Huh?
yes,
So
sir.
that's what I'm. So you are whatever you are saying, no, in a layman language. I know you
Yeah.
can, you guys can, you like it's not just you all can explain in more scientific languages. So just adopt that. Okay, I have discussed all of this before in the class, right? Isn't it?
Yes, sir. You discussed the surface plasmon resonance.
Right, and then
Like,
confinement
yeah,
effect, right?
by
This is because
yeah,
of the confinement in
confinement,
two different dimensions,
confinement.
right? Huh.
Yes, sir. Confinement along the long axis is scattering of the incident light by the rod. That's why longitudinal surface resonance gives the higher wavelength.
Oh, okay, good. Next.
Next,
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Jaideep.
So it's now Jaideep, right?
Yes, sir. My name is Jaydeep, roll number 7.
Yes. Go ahead.
Sir, now I'm going to talk about the synthesis of gold nanorods. And in order to study the properties of gold nanorods more thoroughly, most of the researchers have developed many effective methods for preparing gold nanorods. And they're able to achieve some narrower sizes and shape distribution like nanorods and nanocubes. And okay, and now I'm going to talk about the three standard methods, like three standard trial and tested methods, which have been used in the for the last 5 to 6 decades. And of the three methods I'm talking about, one is the hard template method, and the electrochemical method, and the third one is the seed-mediated growth method. And among these three, the seed-mediated growth method is most widely used nowadays, and it's already the main method of this wet chemical synthesis of these gold nanorods. And talking about the hard template method, and this method is based on the electrochemical deposition of gold within the pores of some nanoporous templates. So these nanoporous templates are a kind of substances which help in the formation of these gold nanorods, and these include some polycarbonates and as well as alumina template membranes. In this slide, I'm explaining with the help of aluminum membrane templates. And what happens is there's a conductive layer placed beneath this aluminum membrane, and whenever there are some gold particles being scattered into the electrolyte, these are being attracted towards this conductive layer. But this aluminum membrane template has some pores in the shape of a cylinder, which help in the formation of these gold nanorods. So whenever these gold particles are being attracted towards this conductive layer, they just go into the pores of this aluminum membrane, as it's being shown in the third picture here. And once they have been formed, the next stage involves the selective dissolution of both aluminum membrane and the conductive film present here. And for this case, we use a substance called polymeric stabilizer. And these include some PVP or CTAB, and we can use many other polymeric stabilizers. And what this polymeric stabilizer does is that it just binds itself to the surface of this gold nanorods, and it does not allow the coagulation of this gold nanorods, and this is left free into the solvents. And at a later stage, when these substances are either agitated or washed in water or organic solvents, these polymeric stabilizers are being separated out, and we get pure form of gold nanorods. And in this layer, here on the side, there's a schematic representation of this process shown here. And this is the conductive layer, and this is the aluminum membrane, and it has many pores in the shape of a cylinder. So whenever a gold particles is being attracted towards this conductive support layer, it just passes through this pores, and it forms a gold nanorods. And some of the key takeaway points are that the diameter of the gold nanoparticles are synthesized, which coincide with the pore diameter of the aluminum membrane, which is obvious from the image shown. Because whenever gold particles get accumulated here, it just fills the diametrical surface in this aluminum membrane, and thus the diameter be, the different aspect ratio of gold nanorods can be obtained by changing the pore diameter of aluminum. And apart from that, the length of the nanorods can also be controlled by using the concentration of gold accumulated. Because as the concentration of gold increases, there will be more accumulation towards this in the pores of this aluminum membrane. But at the same time, there are some disadvantages with this hard template method. The fundamental limitation is the yield. Okay, because the hello.
Yes, you go ahead.
Sir, am I audible? Okay.
Yeah, you're absolutely audible. So there's no issue. Go ahead.
Okay, sir. Hard template method can effectively control the length diameter ratio of gold nanorods, as we have seen by using the change in the aluminum membrane or in the concentration of the gold. But the operation is very complex.
Hello, Jaidev. Now we can't really hear you. Hello. Is it other can hear?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Not able to
Yes,
hear.
sir, we can hear.
Yeah, so all of a sudden
I am not able to hear, sir.
okay. So it's probably his network. Okay, can any one of you can contact him and figure it out what happened? And by that time, I don't know, just wait for 1 minute. Let's see. Oh, one thing I should mention also that, the presentation, whatever team 1, team 2, team 3 is also giving, I can ask the question from there also to other people.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Sir, there's a power cut in our area, so sorry, sir.
Yeah, Joydeep.
Sir?
Yeah, so can you present now?
Yes, sir, I can present now.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, sir. So as you can see, these are the FEG SEM images of an aluminum membrane. So as I've talked about, the fundamental limitation is that since this is a monolayer, so even for the production of for a tiny amount of this gold nanorods, it's a very tedious process, and it's a very time-consuming process, because we'll have to produce each layer. it will have to produce it in each layer of membrane, so it takes a lot of time. Okay, and now I'm going to talk about the electrochemical method. This electrochemical method was first demonstrated by Wang and some of his co-workers, and this method can be used for the production of huge amount of gold nanorods at time. But the problem is that there is no proposed mechanism for as to how this takes place. There is no I mean there's no proper mechanism as to how this takes place, and the process goes as follows. In this case, gold is used as a sacrificial anode, and platinum is used as a cathode. So two cathodes are immersed in an electrolytic solution, and this electrolytic solution is being supported by use of CTAB. That is CTAB. Okay. And the CTAB acts as a stabilizer to prevent the nanorods from aggregation. Along with the CTAB, a small amount of dodecyl ammonium bromide also is being added, which acts as a rod inducing co-surfactant. And okay, at the same time, before the electrolysis, some amount of acetone and cyclohexane are also being added, and the cyclohexane enhances the formation of elongated rod-like micelles, which I'll be talking about later. And the mechanism is being proposed as follows. This is just a hypothetical mechanism, and there's no proof that this mechanism exists. So they say that during the synthesis, the bulk gold metal anode is initially consumed. That is, gold from the anode part is being consumed, and it reacts with CTAB and forms AuBr4-, these anions. And these anions, they just migrate to the cathode where this reduction occurs. And during this reduction, this gold is being reduced from +3 state to 0 state. And it is proposed that at this point of time, there nanorods are being formed. But although the complete mechanism is not known, the gold nanorod particles prepared by this method are uniform, but the process is relatively complicated, and the mechanism is not at all known till now. And the images of the gold nanorods formed by this method are being shown on the lower end side. And next I'm going to talk about the seed-mediated growth method, and this is the very most commonly used method. And okay, and even currently it's having its application. And the basic principle is that there's a small gold nanoparticle seed. That is the lowest form of a gold nanoparticle is being supplied to a growth solution, and under the action of these particles in a growth solution, it just builds upon itself and forms a gold nanorod with a desired aspect ratio. Aspect ratio is the ratio between the length to the diameter of these gold nanorods. The main advantage of this seed-mediated growth method is that it can produce both short and long nanorods effectively, because short nanorods are very difficult to synthesize, but with the help of this seed-mediated growth method, even short nanorods could be effectively synthesized. And this method was being proposed by Jana et al. In 2001. And apart from the aspect ratio, even the yield of this method is so high; it's nearly about 99%, and which makes this process very feasible. And there are three processes involved in this seed-mediated growth method. The first thing is this preparation of gold seed. We have to, and this process is known as nucleation. And in this process, what happens is that we prepare the smallest form of this gold nanoparticle, and then we prepare a growth solution. And after the preparation of this growth solution, we just inject this gold seeds into this growth solution, and due to the surfactant reactions, it forms into gold nanorods. Okay, I'll talk about the mechanism now. And the first step, preparation of gold seed. So how do you prepare a gold seed? So we take some amount of salt, like gold salt. There are, if you want to have gold nanorods, you have to take gold salt, and you use sodium borohydride, and it's a very strong reducing agent, and this reduces Au from +3 state to 0 state, and this called a gold seed. And citrate here is a capping agent. So what this capping agent does is that it does not allow the coagulation of these particles once again. So once these gold seeds are formed, it just caps itself onto the surface of this gold seeds and does not allow further coagulation. And next is the synthesis of growth solution. So in this growth solution, we'll be using the same salt which I used for the gold seed along with CTAB. And along with the addition of ascorbic acid, the CTAB I'll talk about in the next slide in detail. So we'll be using a growth solution. So this ascorbic acid is a weak reducing agent, and it does compared to citrate, compared to sodium borohydrate, and thus it reduces AU from +3 state to +1 state. So AU is gold is being circulated in the form of +1 state. And then after the growth of nanorods. So once we once we have the seeds and growth solution in our hand, we'll be able to produce this gold nanorods, and which the mechanism I'll be talking about in the next slide. And this the growth mechanism of nanorods, how these nanorods are formed in the solution. So first thing is that the symmetry breaking in FCC metals. The first step which takes place is the nucleation, that is the formation of the gold seed, the basic part of the smallest part of the gold nanoparticle, and then the growth. See, I mean, hello, sir.
Yeah, go
Sir,
ahead.
is it audible?
Yes, tell me.
Hello, sir. Is it audible?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, sir. The first step is the nucleation. That is the formation of the seed, and then it just grows due to the coagulation. Due to some coagulation, it just grows on the surface. I mean, on the surface, some of the particles bond, and it just grows into a nanorod of the desired size. And then the development of facets. Because it forms into FCC. Since it's FCC metal, it tries to form into its facets. And then after the CTAB, I'll talk about CTAB later. Okay, I'll talk about CTAB. CTAB is an ammonium surfactant. So it finds mostly its application in detergents and also in as a stabilizing agent. So this has a CTAB plays a role in controlling nanoparticle size and shape by selectively or more strongly binding to various emerging crystal facets. So what the CTAB does is that whenever there are different phases of a phase, different phases in a phase, that it just binds to one side of a phase, and thus it does not allow the expansion in that side. So as you can see here, CTAB binds to the crystal on one phase, and on this phase it does not bind. So it has the opportunity to grow on one dimension itself. So on the other side, on the other phase, it does not expand, but in one dimension it just grows continuously till the reagents have been exhausted. So by altering the amount of CTAB used, we'll be able to adjust the aspect ratio of nanorods. That is we can change the length of the nanorods. And apart from this, the positively charged CTAB bilayer stabilizes the nanorods, and thereafter it prevents this aggregation between the nanorods, and that process is known as jipping. It just jips on all the sides of the nanorods, and it does not allow further coagulation. And once these are agitated or soniated, then we'll be getting the pure form of nanorods of gold are separated. And
Okay, Jaydeep, wind up.
Sir, just this is the last slide, so just 1 minute.
Okay.
Complete. And preparation of gold rods using AgNO3. And the precise mechanism of this is not yet known, but the presence of silver nitrate allows us to control the shape of the gold nanorods better. And there's no mechanism, but on the side is the UV visible spectra of gold nanorods, and in the presence of silver nitrate. And as you can see, there is a varied amount. Different types of nanorods have been formed by using different concentration of AgNO3. And with the help of AgNO3, we are able to even synthesize the smaller aspect ratio nanorods. And so that's it. I'll wind up.
That's all, no?
Yes,
okay.
sir.
So can you briefly tell me, like, is it always people use the CTAB, the surfactant, the cetyl trimethyl ammonium bromide, or they have some other reagent also? And if so, how they can control it?
So normally it depends on the length of the factor. It depends on the length of the chains. The CTAB is 16 chain, But apart from this, there's also something called TC16 AB, T16AB, I think.
Right.
So that
So
also,
the length of the surfactant, whatever used, that also play crucial role. So that you have
yes, the
missed.
length of,
It's okay.
okay.
Yeah. Fine. So the next guy can come. So this is really nice. You know, you both presented really nice so far, Orpit and Jaideep, you both. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Okay, so sir, I'm Akshit, roll number 6.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I'll be discussing about the properties of gold nanorods. So besides the common properties of nanomaterials such as surface effect, small size effect, macroscopic quantum tunneling effect, gold nanorods also have unique optical properties and which have extensive application in bioimaging, optical information storage, and catalysis. Next slide, Arpit. Coming to the optical properties of gold nanorods, gold nanorods have absorption peaks that are tunable throughout the visible and the short-wave near-infrared regions of the electromagnetic spectrum. Gold nanorods with high aspect ratio is the ratio of the length and the width. So gold nanorods with high aspect ratio have a longer peak resonant wavelength than gold nanorods with lower aspect ratio. By tuning the synthesis conditions to control the nanorod length and diameter, nanorods with peak resonance from 600 to 1100 nanometers can be produced. Its maximum position lambda max shifts towards red as the aspect ratio increases, which we can see in the graph. Next slide, Arpit. Coming to surface plasma resonance, in presence of oscillating electromagnetic field of light, the conduction band electrons of a metal nanoparticle undergo collective coherent oscillation in resonance with the frequency of light, which is known as surface plasma resonance or SPR. This induces a charge separation between the free electrons and the ionic metal core, which exerts a restoring Coulomb force to make the electrons oscillate back and forth on the particle surface, resulting in a dipole oscillation. The SPR condition is dependent on particle size, shape, structure, and dielectric properties of the metal and surrounding medium. As we can see, SPR in the graph, SPR varies linearly with the aspect ratio. In case of gold nanorods, electron oscillations can occur in short or long axis, depending on polarization of the incident light. Excitation of surface plasma along the short axis is known as transverse band, and the excitation along the long axis is referred to as the longitudinal band. Next slide, Arpit. Photoluminescence properties. So due to the rapid non-radiative electron hole recombination process, the bulk metal has extremely weak fluorescence. Surface plasma fields give rise to an enhancement in the radiative process to the extent that they are able to compete with the efficient non-radiative process. Hence, it has been observed that for nanorods with aspect ratios less than 3, the quantum efficiency of the photoluminescence is in the range of 10 to the power minus 4 to 10 to the power minus 3, which is 6 orders of magnitude greater than that found in the bulk. Next slide, Arpit. Now coming to the non-linear optical properties. At low light intensities, a metal's dielectric polarization responds linearly to the electric field of the light. However, when the light intensity increases, it gives rise to non-linear optical effects. Plasmonic resonance gives rise to intense local electromagnetic fields, and nanorods give the largest field enhancements. Hence, gold nanorods support substantial nonlinearities and thus could prove to be useful in potential applications in this field. Next slide, Arpit. To measure the nonlinearity, optical nonlinearity, we have a measurement called Z-scan. Z-scan measurement measures the sample in Z-scan measurement, the sample under study is translated through a gradient of intensities made available along a focused laser beam's axis of propagation, that is the Z-axis. Non-linearities can thus be identified as deviations from the flat line response in a plot of the normalized transmittance versus Z. In the graph, it shows the Z-scan data carried out on a solution-based gold nanorod at lambda equal to 800 nanometers at a wavelength near the longitudinal Plasmon mode. As we can see in the graph, there are substantial non-linearities. So that's it from my part.
Okay, can you briefly tell me like what is nonlinear optical effect?
As I said in the previous slide, at low light intensities, the dielectric polarization responds linearly to the electric field of the light. However, at light intensities, as they increase, the optical effects, they become non-linear.
So only suggestion to you, like I think you have seen the other two presentation, whatever your friend did that, instead of keeping more text and all, no, you could have take a help of schematics, data and try to explain it. That is a good thing for the future. Okay, just pay attention more on that. Okay,
sir. Next time I'll take care of that.
Because you will tell thousands of you will use thousands of words, but what are the impact if you have a schematic and all? It will make things way easier to everyone. You understood? I can also get an idea that how clearly you got this concept. Okay.
Okay.
So just pay attention on that. Okay. So there are a reason why I praise Joydeep and Arpit. Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Next.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, myself Bittu. Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
So today I am going to discuss about medical application of gold nanorod. So in according to we first discuss how the properties of gold nanorods helps us into medical application. Then we will discuss about target strategy, and then we will discuss about interaction of gold nanorods to cells, and then we discuss some properties, some application in details. So we know that gold nanorons provides LS longitudinal surface longitudinal surface plasmon resonance, and this provides absorption of wavelength in near infrared regions, and this is very important for medical application because rate of absorption of this type of radiation by living tissue is relatively very small, and this property differentiates gold nanorons with others. In addition to this, gold nanoroots are very sensitive to the environment in which they are present. As the gold nanomaterial have very good surface chemistry, so they are very specific to the dielectric constant of the environment. Thus, gold nanoroots are very efficient in colorimetry agents. And second, third is optical cross section, which Akshit present is very well. Since using these properties, we can utilize gold nanoroots in range of applications, including biosensing, photothermal therapy, bioassays, biomedical imaging, and drug delivery. Next slide, please. So here are targeting strategies. So based on targeting strategies, gold nanoroots can be divided into two types, means active targeting and passive targeting. Active targeting implies where basically nanosystems interact directly with the surface of cells, and in passive targeting, gold nanoparticles interact with the medium of surrounding medium of cells, and it basically depends on the pH and surrounding medium of cell tissues. Next slide. Here we can see that in active targeting, the nanorods are attached to the surface, and basically what is this? These nanorods are specific to the cell's receptors, and they recognize the target cells because of the receptor present on the cells, and it will bind to the ligand receptor interaction. And in passive targeting, it basically depends on the pH of medium, and they instead of attaching to the surface, nanocells accumulated near the surface of cells. Next slide. Here is the interaction of cell with the nanoparticles. So here are three types of interaction. First is caveolin-mediated endocytosis. Second is clathrin-independent endocytosis, and third is macropinocytosis. So basically, what happen in caveolin-mediated endocytosis? mm, inside the bile bilayer, inside the bilipid layer, there is a protein named caveolin. It has property of oligomerization, and with the help of this property, it is polymerized to itself and made a made a imaginations, and it's get bigger with the time. And when nanoparticles get inside it, it detaches from the membranes, and inside the cells it digests with the endosomes, and nanoparticles do their work. In clathrin dependent endocytosis, there is a protein named clathrins which form coats outside the surface of cell, and when any particle comes nearby the surface, it starts polymerization and form a vesicle shapes here. And when all particles gets inside it, it detaches from the cells, and inside the inside cell it reacts with the endosomes, and to means when it digests, nanoparticles will do what they have to do. In macropinocytosis, when the particle is of bigger size, then there is a filament named actin which came nearby the cells, and similarly to amoeba, it take the particle inside it and then diffuse with the and lysosome. Next slide. So here is first application, biosensing and molecular imaging. So basically what happens in biosensing, we measure the response of gold nanorods to the selected targets by monitoring change in plasmon bands as a result of minor change in local environments. Hence we get the image, and we also get the sense about the tissues which are defected, or anything which we want to discuss. Where basically what helps gold nanoparticles is because of the enhanced scattering cross section of gold nanoparticles, which is 10 to the power 5 times stronger than that of the other fluorescent molecules. That's why gold nanoparticles are good in biomolecular imaging. And here are some gold nanorods which help in biosensing. The first is 3D superstructures made by gold nanorods. It actually enhance the electric field for detecting prion concentration. Prion is basically a protein which a paired protein which folds the other protein and stop the function of other proteins. Second is PEG functionalized gold nanorods. These gold nanorods um, helps to imagining the breast cancer molecular. Thiolated oligonucleotides. uh, these gold nanorods are detecting for mRNA in cells. Next slide. Photothermal therapy. Um, Gold nanorods are very attractive candidates for phototherapy because of their tunable absorption in near-infrared regions and high optothermal conversion efficiency. So basically, what happens in photothermal treatment is like mm, when we irradiate laser light on gold nanoparticle inside the cells, the absorbed radiation turns into heat, and heat re- this heat damage this heat damage the pet tissues inside the cell. Here are three examples of type of glomerulus which are used in photothermal therapy: melanina photothermal therapy, platinum coated nanorods, and quercetin functionalized gold nanorods. Mm, Melanoma phototherapy use uh, therapy using PEG gold nanorods, which decrease the volume of tumor, and platinum coated gold nanorods induce malignant cell death and protect the healthy cell by cleaning the reactive oxygen species during the treatment. Next slide. Mm, The third is drug and gene delivery. Mm, This is the main factor in medical application where gold nanoroid is widely used. Mm, During drug delivery, when DNA gold nanorods complexes illuminate with pulsed NIR laser, it triggers the morphological change in the nanorod, and that trigger the release of drugs which are combined with gold nanorods. Mm, Here are some type of gold nanorods which help in drug and gene delivery. Compacted DNA plasma functionalized, um, Rimfaxian drug delivery system. Rimfaxian drug system using gold nanorods to combat uh, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, and compacted DNA plasmid functionalized biometric linear for gene delivery. Next slide. Here are the combined therapies in which gold nanorods are used in multitask target therapy, photothermal and molecular imaging. Mm, Here's some example of gold nanorods like gold nanorods functionalized with the doxorubicin for anti-cancer drug delivery and tumor targeting lesions. And some of the are gold nanorods conjugated to endothelial growth factor monoclonal antibodies for oral ethical cancer therapy. Mm, Here some other is forfeirin transfusion functionalized gold nanorods for HER2 positive breast cancer therapy. Mm, It is targeting PAG3 gene using siRNA conjugate gold rods mediated phototherapy enhanced cell properties. Next slide. Mm, Since every mm, during the treatment of means like when we have to decrease the size of tumors, then we irradiated laser light which impart heat and that damage the pet tissue. During this, other cells maybe other healthy cells may be damaged. So here are some advantages like so when we cycle like where when CTAP cap coloners aggregated, uh, actually what happens in when coloners are kept with CTAP, and this CTAP is cytotoxic because since cytotoxic potential.
Is it done, Bittu? Hello. Is it Bittu is there? No. Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Sir.
Is it Bittu is around or no? Bittu.
Hello.
So
Yes,
you know.
am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. So your presentation is over, right?
Yes, sir.
See, this presentation again, as I suggested to Aksit, is the same issue. There are a lot of information, but there are no explanation of any principles. I would rather, looking for, you should take one or two principle and just to explain like what's happening. Just thrashing of information is not at all useful. Not at all. You probably learn few things, but that you should have a proper knowledge that what you have learned. Instead of thousands of things, you will take the information, but eventually after 1 or 2 days you will forget that. You will not remember at all. And nowadays, information is so easily available. Why you have to remember all of this information? Rather, just learn some of the principle of how and why these things happen. Just to, okay, I'm not you can't really change it the way you presented right now. I just want to know like how you understood the things. Just for like one of the classical approach is like the gene therapy. People extensively use the IR light before they release the DNA, right? What's the role of IR light to release the DNA?
Sir, IR lights basically change the morphological structure of gold nanorods, which target the release of DNAs from gold nanorods.
Is it? Or like you have IR light which absorb. Why? So then they could have take other light source also, right? They took the IR light so that the individual metal nanorod could be heat up, and
Yes.
that helps to cleave the DNA on the strand, and that's the way basically hybridization temperature. Once you take the DNA, you elevate the temperature, then it dehybridizes, and that's the way it released. Okay. And now another thing like active targeting and passive targeting. I have thoroughly discussed about that. The passive targeting is not because of the pH, is because of the leaky structure of endothelial cells. So you talk about different mechanism of cell uptake. Before that, the drug has to reach to the tissue. No. So the size of the nanoparticle or this nanorod, that basically allowed to target passive like active the tissue is not through this particular targeting modification as like antibody or peptide and all. You don't need that. It's just the size that will decide whether it will pass through that leaky endothelial membranes or the wall, which is just there, kind of a barrier it makes between the tissue and the vein. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So anyway, like I have discussed all of this, but it's look like the way you explain is not appropriate. Okay, I'll rather suggest whoever coming next, come up with choose 2-3 principles and explain thoroughly like why this is happening, what is that, what is the mechanism. That is more important. Just flashing of data information is not at all a good presentation, not at all sign of a good presentation. That you have to remember. Okay, the next. Next, who is coming?
Divyam.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Just a second, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I'll be sharing my screen. Sir, can you? Okay, I don't know.
No, I can't really see your slides. Let's see. Something is going.
Can you see?
Not yeah.
Can
I
you?
can see that. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Just a second, sir. Yes, sir. So, can you see this right now?
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Okay. Okay. So I'll be starting with the. I'll continue with further applications of gold nanorod. So starting with applications in detection. Sorry, my name is Divyam Bansal and my roll number is 180122015. So starting from detection, on exposed or surface assembled in an orderly manner under the action of certain molecules or ions. Uh, the to this 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 action causes certain changes to the spectra of the gold nanorods. Based on this principle, uh, specific molecules and ions can be detected. Um, uh, the reaction basically this spectra can be used to determine various molecules. Basically, we use amalgam to determine the amount and the content of the sample we have been given. Uh, so content of the sample we have been given. Um, for detection, basically we use amalgam. I'll be discussing it further from the next slide. Um, Along with that, so the basic reaction is carried out on the gold nanorod, because to keep the data more accurate and reliable. Um, Along with that, the reaction between antibody and antigens can be used to demonstrate the color detection based on silica-coated gold nanorod membranes, uh, using ascorbic acid to reduce mercury ions, which also causes significant color by amalgam reaction with gold and achieve detection of mercury ions. The introduction of mesoporous silica can further improve biosafety of the material, and the silicon surface can also protect the gold nanorods and nuclei. Uh, this is the reaction that takes place between amalgamation of gold nanorods with Hg microparticles. So as we can see, the side ends we can see are CTAB, cetrimonium bromide. So as we can see, higher the amalgamation, um, we can see as the amalgamation increases, so nanorods gets longer, or we can say that their diameter ratio decreases. Sorry. Then next part is application in optical information storage. So large capacity information storage device can be prepared using wavelength turbulability and polarization dependence of gold nanorods, because the gold nanorods excite and accumulate photon energy to absorb deformation after absorbing radiation. Based on sensitivity of length diameter ratio of gold nanorods to their longitudinal LSPR wavelengths, gold nanorods with different aspect ratios can record their deformation with laser of different wavelengths, and hence increasing storage density. So you using laser irradiating gold nanorods with laser, and then further using longitudinal LSPR, um, uh, we can encode them. We can encode higher optical density storage on deformed gold nanorods. Uh, PVA gold nanorod composite. Uh, uh, just a second. PVA gold nanorod composite film. Um, uh, when this was irradiated with laser, by changing the polarization angle of incident light, the irradiated and the non-irradiated areas were significantly different due to the exposure, due to the size of gold nanorods. So this specific phenomenon can be used for optical printing. Attach silver. After attaching silver nanoparticles to the surface of gold nanorods and the cross-linked composite of the platinum silver amalgam photon electrode pipeline. It was found that introduction of gold nanorods significantly enhanced photocatalytic activity, and spectral dependence indicated the catalytic enhancement derived from longitudinal LSPR. Small side platinum nanoparticles have good catalytic performance, as we already know, but in order to maintain the dispersibility of platinum nanoparticles, gold nanorods can be used as a substrate to immobilize platinum nanoparticles, and hence increasing their dispersibility. So these were the applications of the gold nanoparticles. So after all this, we come to the conclusions. Since the development of gold nanoparticles has been a hot topic currently in the research and application, its synthesis method and applications has continued to develop interest of the latest research enthusiasts. Several preparation methods and plasmon resonance effects of the gold nanorods and their applications have been reviewed multiple times by many researchers over the past few decades. In simple terms, the seed-mediated growth method is widely used method for preparing gold method by wet chemical method according to requirements of practical applications. Ideal quality of gold nanorod can be obtained by adjusting seed content, silver ion content, solution pH, reaction time, and the temperature of the growth system. The good solvent dispersibility and biocompatibility of gold nanorods have made it a great concern for biomedical and biochemical testing.
So
and
it's
have
okay.
achieved, yes, sir.
Fine, Divyam. So again, hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. See, the same issue as I said to earlier two presenters also. So there have no discussion or thorough, explanation provided, which I was expecting. But anyway, can you, thoroughly discuss what are the principle of information storage using this gold nanorod?
Yes, sir. So basically, the optical information storage, when gold nanorod is modified gold nanorod is irradiated with laser, and when we use LSPR on that, we find a difference on like the sheet we are using. We find a difference in the places where the laser was irradiated and it was not irradiated because of the presence of gold nanoparticles. So basically, that is how we. I think I have discussed this.
No, I think the explanation is not thorough. You ask your friends how much they understood. Okay.
I think it's hard to make through. Okay. Okay, sir.
It's not that difficult, Dibyam. It's just like how seriously you take the things and how much you are thinking about. See, you need to be very fair. Okay.
Yes,
so if you also know, if you could have given a little more time, you could have come up with a way more better presentation, isn't it?
Yes, sir. So just give me
tell me yes or no. Tell me.
Sir, yes.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like never do something where later on you can feel that I could have done better. I'm not asking, you have come up with so many information and all. Just give a thorough understanding of one particular principle, but that is, thorough and neat. You understood? So that should be your attitude, like for all of you. That is my request. Follow that principle in your life. You will not see much difficulty in your professional life.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that is important. Okay. Anyway, I hope once you get the exposures or opportunity in future, you'll take the proper advantage of that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, fine. So Ankita actually sent me an email. I've just now checked. So she wants to present some other day because she has some health issues and all. So I'll contact that. I'll coordinate that separately. Okay. Okay. So we'll meet then in next class. Okay, 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay.
Sir, attendance was done.
Yes, attendance is between I took. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Bye bye.